What is up, gamers? The Red Dragon here, and we are covering the top stories on VGN. So, EA is getting ready to release Need for Speed Rivals on the next generation consoles, but there's one console that it will not be on, and that would be the Nintendo Wii U. So, according to the creative director for Need for Speed, EA sunk a lot of money in extra work. They had extra people working on the Wii U version, specifically of Most Wanted, the previous version of Need for Speed. And so, needless to say, the investment didn't pay off. He said, quote, "It didn't really sell in terms of the Wii U market. I would love for it to have because we put so much effort into that. Trust me, I'd love for it to be way bigger than what it was, and the same for the Vita." So that definitely sucks for Nintendo when you've got big publishers who are saying, you know, we're not bringing our new games to your system because the last game didn't sell well. Now, it hasn't been all bad news for Nintendo recently. On September the 20th, they reduced the price of the Wii U by $50. So currently, you can go buy a Wii U for $299. And so far, they said the sales have increased by 200%. But even if you take that boost into account, which is a pretty good boost, I still think that they are a long ways away from where they should be. So here's the deal. If I were sitting on the board of Nintendo, I would say, it is time to get back to the basics. Nintendo built the console generation that we have as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I know that there were consoles out before Nintendo, but Nintendo took the concept of the console and leapt like 20 feet out in front of everybody else. But how did they do it? They did it without fancy graphics. They didn't need million-dollar scripts from Hollywood directors. They didn't need an army of voice actors or body doubles. All they needed was for you to sit down and try one of their games. And once you did, you fell in love. And you knew the games and the characters by heart. You knew Mario, Luigi, Zelda, Yoshi. Nintendo has become a brand that will live forever within the gaming world. And they did it completely without gimmicks. Do you remember the original Nintendo controller? I compare it to like a block of soap that you get at a cheap hotel that's got like really hard edges. Like it hurts to hold, it hurts to shower, you walk out with bruises. The Nintendo controller originally, I mean, I don't think they had people who studied ergonomics back then, but because the design wasn't very ergonomically friendly. But it did the job, and you didn't have people complaining about the controller back then. No, they just cared about the games. And, you know, since those days, years and years have passed. But the controller, the idea of the controller is still here. 2013, gamers have completely embraced the controller. And today we're sitting here debating who's going to have the best controller. Is it going to be Microsoft or is it going to be Sony? And we're not even talking about Nintendo. And why is that? Because Nintendo alienated so many gamers by pushing away the one input device that every console gamer has embraced. Every console maker besides Nintendo, they've embraced. At least that's what I felt they did with the Wii. But let me get to the point. The problem with the Wii U is not the loading times with games or apps, although I think that's a problem. Your problem isn't great games, because I would love to sit down and play a Zelda or a Mario Kart or a number of other games on the Nintendo. But this tablet controller, this oversized Game Boy that doubles as my controller, is getting in the way of my purchase. And it does so because it raises the price of the Wii U by a large margin. And Nintendo has failed to show me any game that requires me or makes me want to use this device. As far as I'm concerned, it's a gimmick. And it's a very expensive gimmick. And I know the first thing that people are going to say is they're going to compare it to the Kinect. And they say, well, that's how I see the Kinect. But at least with the Kinect, they built in very strong system functionality that heavily incorporates the Kinect. So it does a lot of different things besides just allows you to play games and do different things in a game. It does a lot of different stuff. So I see that as a little less gimmicky than just having an extra screen between my legs. I mean, the whole reason that I play a console is because I like playing games on my TV. So what I want to know is, whenever you were doing these case studies, who was sitting there saying, you know what, this is a really fun game on the TV, but I really love looking down and having to lose contact with my TV screen so I can look at another screen. Like, really? That just totally messes up my whole vibe. I just want to, stay where I'm at. I don't want to lose connection with that game. So here's what I say, Nintendo, if you want to be a heavy contender, if you want to come out of this slump like really swinging, because I honestly don't think you're dead. And I don't want you to be dead. I want you to give Sony and Microsoft a run for their money. I don't want you to go away. I don't want you to just start publishing games, although I would be happy with that. I would take it. But, I would still prefer that you're still here. I don't want to see you go under. So I would say ditch the tablet. And here's the crazy part. You already have a Wii U Pro controller. And at least from the images, I haven't tried it, but at least from the images, it looks a lot like the Xbox controller, which isn't a bad thing. But Nintendo doesn't sell this as a bundle, so you can't buy the Wii U console and this Pro controller that doesn't have this crazy tablet inside of it. So if you drop the tablet, you drop the price that it costs to manufacture this. You also drop the price that customers have to pay for it, which means there's going to be more sales, which means there's going to be more systems out there, more people playing your game. That also means more developers are looking at your system and seriously considering investing and putting their game on your system. This would also allow you to remarket the Wii, because if you look at customer surveys that have been taken, a lot of people don't even realize, like in the general population, that the Wii U is like a completely different beast than the Wii. They actually believe, a lot of people do, that the Wii U is an accessory to the Wii and that it's not even a next-gen console, that's a standalone. So you have the opportunity, if you come out with like a new bundle, to come out and, rebrand it, remarket it to a new division of gamers. And you could call it something like the Wii Pro Edition or something like that. That sounds kind of cool. And so this would just include the Pro controller, and you go after gamers who are like me, who are on the fence, who don't know whether they're going with Sony or Microsoft. But at this point, we're not even considering a Nintendo because, one, we don't know or understand why we need that controller, and two, for the price, it is hard to not argue to invest an extra $100 into getting a PlayStation 4. If I'm going to spend $299 to get a Nintendo Wii U, why not spend $399 and get a PlayStation 4? With Nintendo, your strength, your basic, has always been the games. So I say get back to the basics, get back to focusing on games, get rid of all this other talk about, the controllers, the motion, all that other stuff. You have a solid controller, put it in people's hands, put the games in people's hands, get the hardware in people's houses, and let us play the games. If you agree or disagree with me, let me know in the comment section. Do you think Nintendo can pull this through? Could they make a change and really make a comeback in the next generation market? Or is it game over for Nintendo at this point? That does it for me, the Red Dragon. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.